The Lord leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Psalm 23 and 3. If we were to ask for a show of hands, the 23rd Psalm would likely stand out as a favorite part of the Bible for many people. This psalm has stood the test of time. Its images of shepherd and green pastures, calm waters, and even dark valleys stir our imaginations. When we have accompanied friends in their final moments of life, it's often been this psalm that gives us a voice when words are difficult. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The 23rd Psalm brings comfort in times of distress. It guides us in life. And for this devotional, I would like to focus on a verse 3 of this psalm. And it says that the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Paths of righteousness. Maybe you remember making a path when you were much younger. Perhaps you wanted to take a shortcut to get to a friend's house, but it meant going across a neighbor's property. But you took this route so many times that you eventually created a path, much to your neighbor's annoyance. Notice that we use the word path to describe other experiences of life as well. For instance, athletes talk about a path that leads to a championship. Doctors envision the path that led to their vocation. During this pandemic, researchers are seeking a path to a successful vaccine that will fight the coronavirus and yet be safe for us, for people. Educators seek a path which will enable children to return to school while keeping them and their teachers safe. Paths are difficult to create. They take time and they require wisdom and courage. The 23rd Psalm begins by naming God as shepherd. Israel came to speak of the Lord as shepherd because he guided them through the wilderness. He provided for them and he protected them from danger. Among his final words to Israel, Moses makes this declaration: "These 40 years, the Lord your God has been with you, and you have lacked nothing." Deuteronomy 2 and 9. But notice that the 23rd Psalm speaks of paths of righteousness. In other words, the character and the purposes of God lead us in paths that we need to take. God's character of integrity, mercy, and justice shapes the path he wants us to take. And this is true for the Salvation Army and true for us personally. Our own salvationist history tells the story of such paths of righteousness. In his book, Turning Points, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Satterley highlights several moments in our history when we found a different path. One such path has been the role of women within the Salvation Army. And Satterley begins his chapter with Catherine Booth's startling interruption of a church service when she says, "I want to say a word." At that time in British history, women had no vote and could not hold leadership positions in the church or politics. Catherine Booth helped create a path. Lieutenant Colonel Satterley argues that the role of women within this army became one of our defining distinctives. However, Our world is no longer in the 19th century. Opportunities for women have changed. And we have come to recognize in these days that we have not always had a clear path to leadership within our Salvation Army. Our task now is to help continue the path that Catherine Booth and others started. Let's continue that work together. Today, salvationists around the world are looking for ways to create a path that will enable us to continue our mission of salvation, of bringing healing, justice, and hope. Many of you are helping to create paths of righteousness throughout our diverse ministries. Some of us realize that the path needs to be created to reach our younger generations that no longer holds the convictions that shaped our lives. There are many paths of righteousness that require our wisdom and our courage. As we move into this coming week, may we be aware of the Lord leading us in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Let's say together, I'll go in the strength of the Lord, in paths He has marked for my feet. I'll follow the light of His word, nor shrink from the danger I meet. His presence my steps shall attend. His fullness my wants shall supply. On Him till my journey shall end, my unwavering faith shall rely. Thank you, Edward Turney, for these challenging words. And may God bless you as you seek paths of righteousness in this week.